This video is brought to you by PrizePicks. All right. We got a lot to talk about over these next few days, and one of my favorite people I love to bring on here to help yap with me is JP ACOSTA of CBS Sports. Now, unfortunately for JP, I don't think he's ever going to get a visa granted to him to go to Egypt. He's never going to be able to see the pyramids. He's never going to be able to see any of that because of what he may or may not have done to the Egyptian football team a few days ago. But he does have a permanent visa to walk on to this show. So everybody give him a hand. JP ACOSTA of CBS Sports. Thank you for jumping on, man.
I just have to say this. I am sorry, all Egyptian soccer fans. My bad. I didn't realize the bad juju I put into the universe by saying that you were a black and red team playing in Atlanta with a lead against the greatest of all time. What could go wrong? And unfortunately, the answer is everything. So I apologize. I own up to that. That's my bad. I'm hoping we can continue to move forward because I would like to see the pyramids. I think that'd be really cool.
Nah, you ain't seeing nothing, dog. Nothing. You ain't going. You have to look at videos. You know what I mean? You have to hope they put that shit on VR so you can experience it. But you know that kind of like that. What you did there is gonna have like the kind of ricochet thing where we're gonna be like sitting here in like August and be like, Inter Miami came back 4-0 for 4-0 against Atlanta United. Like, it happened again in Atlanta because it's still there. Which, by the way, if you watch Atlanta United's defense this year, yeah, it's definitely on the table for that team. But yeah, always fun to have JP on. We're gonna have a number of topics to talk about today. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with 2027 quarterback options? That sound fun to you? All right. So there's been a lot of hype about this quarterback class. I think there's pretty much a consensus forming that Arch Manning, Dante Moore, that feels like a safe bet for the top three conversation, right? You know, Dante Moore was somebody we thought could be in that conversation this year. If he goes back to Oregon, replicates what he did, maybe even improves on what he did, he's going to be in that conversation. Arch Manning, for a number of reasons, right? His play has legitimately gotten better, but also his last name is Manning, and he plays quarterback. If he can walk and chew bubblegum, somebody's going to draft that man number 1 overall. Are you going to be the GM with the number 1 pick that says, nah, I'm not taking the Manning? like the honest question. And for everybody, it's like, it's nepotism. It's like, okay, you put yourself in the hot seat. Like GM JP, you're sitting there and you know everything you know, but you also know the history of the Manning family. Are you going to sit there and be like, I'm going to take somebody else in that position? Like, do you know the pressure to just take the Manning in that spot? That would
listen. There was once a debate about a Manning versus someone else at quarterback. The Manning turned out good. The other one did not. I'm not going to be the guy that drafts the guy that isn't.
You ain't taking Ryan Leaf?
I'm not even going to play that risk. I don't even think Dante Moore is Ryan Leaf. I'm not going to take that risk.
Hey man, you just got to take him. Like it's in one way it could be a fortunate situation because Arch Manning could just be as good as everybody thinks he is, right? And have the career that a Manning has. On the other hand, what if you a GM and you like, I kind of like the other guy more. Take him.
The funny thing with Arch is that he is the most anti-Manning of the Manning quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Like when you think of a Manning, you think supercomputer processor, technical mastery, like they are what it looks like to teach the position, not very good athletes. Arch Manning legitimately might run a 4.4. Like he is a very good athlete and a very strong player. His biggest issue is short area accuracy. It's like if you turned like
that's not Arch Manning. That's Archie Manning. You feel me?
Yeah. We gotta remember he is Cooper's son.
Yeah.
Not Peyton or Eli. Like you gotta remember that when you watch him.
No, watching Arch run and then like thinking about like he wears like a close to number like of what Peyton wore. He wears like 16. Peyton wore like 18. And I remember what it looked like when Peyton Manning ran, even in his prime, because he wore big ass shoulder pads, super long sleeves. All you see is his forearms running, and you're like, that guy is in danger. Okay,
it looked like it hurt.
Time he runs, right? Like it's like, oh boy. Remember that one bootleg he got where everybody went the other way? And
yeah,
he
against
got
the
to run in?
Cowboys.
It still took him like 5 seconds to run that ball in. It was 2 yards. Like it took forever. Like it's a very different brand of Manning, right? Like than what we are used to. Some people will say it's the natural evolution of the game, but it's like it's not. Well, it's Coop Manning's kid, right? Like this is the one who was the wide receiver. So you can make the argument maybe he was kind of just pushed into playing quarterback because of the last name, right? Like I think this is the most nervous you could feel about drafting a Manning. Because like Eli coming out of Ole Miss, there was worries about like how good Eli could be, but like pretty reasonable floor on Eli Manning, right? Coming out. Peyton Manning, you were excited to take Peyton Manning, right? Like one of the better prospects to ever come out. Arch Manning is like, he's more exciting of a play style than any Manning to ever come out. But boy, do you have more questions.
There's some volatility there.
Yeah, there is some real, like, it kind of reminds me, and he hasn't had the career that this player has had, so it's not on the same level. But it kind of reminds me of like Trevor Lawrence, where it's like,
I was gonna say that's the one guy play style wise where I'm like, it's very Trevor-y.
It's like where you get these moments where you see the vision and you're like, oh, right, with Trevor, especially at Clemson. But then there's these moments where you're like, man, it doesn't feel like Trevor's playing that great right now. Like I can't put my finger on it. He's having a bad stretch of games. It's a little bit of a disappointing year here. That's like the closest thing I can compare it to. But again, like even with Trevor Lawrence, there wasn't the pressure of that being a Manning. Like you could ultimately have traded that pick, and maybe people will clown you for it, but like I don't think you have that option if you have the number 1 overall pick and Arch Manning has a remotely decent year in college football. Like you almost got to take him. And I wonder if that becomes an interesting dynamic to follow as we get closer to this 2027 class, because I could see somebody who's a little bit more technical being like, man, Dante Moore's really good. He's really fast processor, really accurate with his deep balls and all that. Like, if he gets some of the stuff that he needs to clean up this year cleaned, it's like, that's going to be a really solid prospect. But like, he ain't 6'5" and he don't run 4.4. So you can't justify it.
I would also think that Dante Moore has a lot of similarities to CJ Stroud in both the good ways and the issues against pressure. Like that's the scary thing, especially with how we've seen CJ Stroud sort of falter when pressured. And we've seen that out of Dante Moore, which is why I'm kind of glad they went back to school to figure out his answers against pressure. You don't really get that with Arch Manning, because Arch Manning is an incredible athlete. Like he is such a easy, fluid mover who is also explosive. So you just are like, I understand the technical stuff with Dante Moore and the processing and the accuracy. But when it comes down to needing answers against like pressure, Arch Manning that's probably gonna be one of the biggest reasons why Arch Manning is number 1 overall pick.
PrizePicks is a fun way to earn cash while you watch your favorite teams. No complex betting rules. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Here are my picks for this upcoming season, AFC North edition. Jimmy Bernard, I have less than 475. This has to do with volume available in Pittsburgh's offense. Quincy Judkins, I have over 975. Browns improved line. I think the run game's going to be better with it. Chase Brown, under 900 yards. Joe Burrow equals Bengals, less rushing yards usually for the Bengals offense. Mark Andrews, more than 475 yards. Lamar's going to need a safety blanket. Check to see if PrizePicks is available in your state. You could follow me on the app at Quinn_C to see all my lineups. Download the PrizePicks app today. Play $5 and get $50 in lineup to download the app using the link in the description. Yeah. I find that to be a fascinating. I don't like if we're talking from a Browns perspective. I don't think the Browns are going to be involved in that conversation. I don't think we're going to be that bad this year. So like, I tend to want to focus on that second tier of potential quarterbacks in this class. But yeah, the Arch Manning one is fascinating, right? Because there's a lot going on there with Arch. It'd be interesting to see what kind of year they have here at Texas too. You know, like how that changes. Like if he goes out and wins the national championship, obviously he's going to be consensus. He's going to be number 1 overall pick before that game ends. Right? Like it's going to be the question of if he chooses to come out or not. Right? It's going to be like Andrew Luck, number 1 pick in waiting. He could go sit out next year and still be the number 1 pick if he wanted to. The Dante Moore part of this, I think he kind of gets a little bit. I thought he should have went out this year just because like I think the ceiling for him last year's draft was probably second quarterback taken, and I think for this year's draft the ceiling for him is second quarterback taken. So I didn't understand why. Well, he got paid, so that's why he probably ended up staying. And he wants to work on stuff. But, like, what do you think are the challenges for him, new offensive coordinator there at Oregon? And, like, there's a little bit of a weird situation where they have I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I call him Frat Mahomes. Yeah, Frat Mahomes. They got him behind. They got him behind him, which is, like, a little bit awkward.
Yeah, but I also think it's similar to how Dante Moore entered or transfer to Oregon with Dylan Gabriel there. You are going to be the starter next year, but now it's time to sit and learn. And I think the reason why Dante Moore came back, not only because of the NIL money, but what we're seeing in the NFL right now is you want guys with reps. You want to see guys with a lot of reps under their belt. Fernando Mendoza played a lot of football at 2 different schools. Dante Moore is a 1-year starter at Oregon. He started, I believe, 8 or 9 games at UCLA. So he's still a very inexperienced player. And you want to see reps. If we're looking at, like, from the 2024 class and lessons we learned from that QB class, I mean, J.J. McCarthy was the only first-year starter who got drafted in the first round, and he hasn't exactly panned out. Jaden Daniels has started multiple seasons across 2 different schools. Drake May started multiple years. Caleb Williams started multiple years at different schools. Bo Nix, I think, has record for most games started and played in as a quarterback in college football history. So I just think that because of all the indicators that you want guys with reps, Dante Moore going back was a smart decision, even though he probably will still max out at QB2. He'll be prepared for the NFL because you're coming in and you are an immediate starter.
Yeah, that's going to be the case for him. All right, let's talk about this second tier of quarterback and prospects in this class, right? This is probably where we have like Lenore Sellers. Like, who else would you throw in to that potential tier 2? And we're going to give ourselves a lot of flexibility here, given that, like, we know this is going to change a ton.
I will put Lenore Sellers here. I think he's closer to tier 1 than tier 2, but I'm hedging for the fact that, like, I'm not exactly a fan of South Carolina's offensive coordinator and what they have going on around Lenore Sellers in that offense.
Yeah.
I think he might be a 2028 guy, but Drake Lindsay is a guy that I'm a big fan of from Minnesota. He was a first-year starter last year. This is his second year starting at Minnesota. He is a very traditional, big, strong arm quarterback. I think he's got some issues with footwork that kind of makes his accuracy dip off, but he's got some NFL, like high-level NFL throws in there. I also like, for what he is, I like Darian Mensah. I don't think he is going to be a first-round quarterback, but I think that he has the tools to be a starter, even if it's not like super impressive, overwhelming stuff. And then from there, there's a lot of questions. I'm not a big fan of CJ Carr or Julian Sayin. I think both those guys should not enter this year's draft. John Mateer is a weird quarterback to watch. because sometimes he just turns off his brain, and that's not great. It's not great that he's turning off his brain.
I remember talking to Corey about John Madeir, and he was like, I swear to God, sometimes he plays the game blindfolded.
Yes, yes, he plays like it's all John Mateer time. It's John Mateer time, folks. Like he's going to do really stupid stuff, but he's a big dude, and you can use him as a +1 in the run game. So like he's an odd evaluation. I wonder what teams will think of him entering this year's draft because he could have come out last year, decided not to. But even past those guys, there's a lot of question marks. I mean, there's the whole DJ Lagway thing at Baylor. There's Drew Mestmaker at Oklahoma State, who also has a lot of tools. But last season was his first year starting as a quarterback ever. Like he walked on to North Texas, was a backup in high school, and was a first year starter. Like that, his
What kind of
path.
high school did he go to? Did he go to one of them schools in Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let me make sure to pull it up and see like who he sat behind in high school. He was behind Braden Buchanan, who played baseball at Baylor, and Deuce Adams, who ended up going to Louisville. He just did not play a lot of football.
Yeah, he is the reason why people pay so much money to do them 7-on-7 camps because
Yes.
that is the
Yes.
only way you get that
Well,
opportunity.
he walked on at North Texas, played in like their last game of the year in 2024 in their bowl game and was really good, lit it up. His first year starter at North Texas 2025, transferred to Oklahoma State. He has some really wow moments with his arm and with his like the playmaking, but he's got some real stupid moments where it's like, man, you can tell that he just hasn't played a lot of football. So I think he might be more towards 2028 than anything. But if he has a good year, his former coach at North Texas is with him at Oklahoma State. Like, who knows what'll happen?
One of the traits that I find to be the most underrated when it comes to evaluating quarterback is like trying to evaluate how disciplined a quarterback is when it comes to like mental discipline, right? Like I always use Jameis as the example because if you talk football with Jameis is brilliant when it comes to X's and O's, right? And Jameis is 6'5" and he had good enough tools and everything else. Like you look at Jameis in the vacuum and be like, oh, it's perfect prospect. But the one thing about Jameis that Jameis never had, he wasn't a very strict guy, right? Not a very mentally disciplined guy. I mean, a long history of demonstrating a lack of mental discipline on various levels for Jameis Winston. And that ultimately ended up being his undoing in the NFL, where it's like, oh, why didn't Jameis live up to it? It's because Jameis doesn't have that thing in his brain that tells him no when he sees a too high shell in a post over the middle of the field. like he doesn't have it. Like all the genius, all the X and the O smarts he has, he can't tell himself no, right? I think when you watch like Cam Ward's tape or Shador's tape, right, from last year as rookies, you can see is like, oh, every time they see that candy there, one-on-one, you know what I mean, non-play side, they throwing that bitch. Like, it don't matter what you designed. They're going to go, ooh, shiny, throw, right? When you watch prospects this year, it's kind of hard to tell in college, but like who gives you a vibe or who gives you from watching their tape that they are of that more disciplined variety about how they go through their process for football? You know what I mean? How they go through the progressions when you watch them, because I think like, you know, you mentioned what's the guy's name at Oklahoma that we were just talking about?
John Mateer.
Like peak, no mental discipline there, right? Like okay, he's just gonna do whatever. When you watch people, who strikes you as more of a disciplined type player?
So Dante Moore immediately is the guy that sticks out here. Julian Sayin is another guy that if there's one thing that he's going to do, he's going to get from 1 to 2 to 3. He is the peak example of a guy that I think might not be super athletically unlimited, but he knows how to play the game and he knows
Mm,
how to get from 1 to 2 to 3. But his issue is he just doesn't have the same tools
yeah.
that everybody else does. And that's why I sort of think he should stay in school for one more year. But I think of those guys immediately when it comes to progressions. I think there are flashes when it comes to Arch, but I think for him it's less progressions and more the mechanics once he realizes where he wants to go with the ball. So it depends there. But I think those are guys that really stand out when it comes to getting from 1 to 2 to 3, the football, the discipline, like you talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. Just I've watched a lot of failed quarterbacks over my lifetime as a Browns fan, and I feel like that it doesn't get talked about enough because it's not like a flashy. You can't put it on the screen and be like, "Oh, he ran this in mental discipline," right? Like it's not a easily markable thing. But when I look at like all the good quarterbacks, I think they have that in common for the most part, right? The guys who are able to have 10, 15 years careers, there's a difference in what their tools are. There's a difference in what they can do athletically. There's a difference in height there for those guys. But most quarterbacks who can stay in the league for 10, 15 years, like they can eat the shit of playing quarterback, which a lot of times is just eating shit, right? Like a lot of times is being bored out your mind, doing mundane things, working on just incredibly mundane things like play action drops and all that stuff. Like the small details and stuff like that. I feel like it's not something that just because that player does it, they're going to be good. But if they can connect that with other prerequisite traits, then that's something like Mendoza, right? That's something that got me excited about him. Is like, okay, he has the prerequisite traits. And I mean, this guy is infallible whenever it comes. Like he's dealing with the highest pressure that you could deal with at that level, playing against some of the best teams you could play. And he's not going through his process any differently than when he played the Eastern Illinois? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the same exact process. And I'm like, okay, that's something you can really work with. And it's gonna get coaches excited. It'd be interesting to see. Do you think that there's anybody who we haven't seen much of right now? Maybe they're like Dante Moore. They were former Fiverr, highly touted recruit. That is finally going to get a little bit of an opportunity here that might be interesting to watch from what you know about them coming into this season. Like, who would be some of your guesses for surprise risers of this season?
So I think the first one is DJ Lagway. I'm curious what all happened at Florida to where he looked like such a promising prospect and then nothing ever happened from that. But he's closer to home. He's playing for Baylor. I'm not exactly a big fan of what Baylor is doing offensively or team wise. It feels like Dave Aranda might be on the verge of, you know, being out of there. But I think when it comes to athletic tools, and we've seen him play well. So it's just about putting it together consistently. I think DJ Lagway is a guy that I'm really fascinated by. Another guy, I don't think he was a super highly touted recruit, but Josh Hoover is going to Indiana, transfer from TCU. I think he plays football like a baseball player in the fact that like every pass is 100 miles an hour. And so I wonder if he can learn some touch.
Yeah.
But when you're throwing to Nick Marsh and Charlie Becker, who are both probably going to be day one, day two picks at wide receiver, you're going to figure something out. And with Kurt Signetti running that offense still, I'm very intrigued by what Josh Hoover is going to do.
Yeah, it reminds me of Brandon Wheaton. Like, when you're like, oh, this guy played baseball. You watch him
Yes.
throw. What about somebody like Nico Imaliva? Like, right, from what I've heard, was in a bad season last year in a pretty bad situation with UCLA. He's had such a strange career so far. Is he still over there at UCLA? And do you think that
He
there
is.
is a chance that he can maybe, I don't know if he gets into the top of the conversation again, but like re-enters the conversation as far as like quarterbacks that might go in the first couple days of the draft?
Listen, with Nico Yamaliava, he is incredibly talented. He's a very athletic guy. He has shown that he has the tools. I think the best thing for him is getting Bob Chesney from James Madison to be the head coach at UCLA. I'm a big believer in what he does offensively. For him, it's just about simplifying his process. It felt like Nico was trying to do too much at UCLA. And I think we see it a lot when it comes to like highly touted guys where it's like, I have to be this certain person, where it's like, no, you just got to play football. And I
Mhm.
think simplifying Nico's process could really help him out. So I'm curious to see what he looks like at UCLA with this new offense. But I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to be a little bit in on Nico, at least to start the season.
All right. Now, when we look around the league, there are some quarterbacks in a little bit of a interesting situation with their team, right? You know, there's a whole CJ Stroud thing. Like, there's debate over whether they should give him a contract. Baker Mayfield. Like, do you think any veteran quarterbacks could be on the move in 2027? And if you're a team like Cleveland, what quarterbacks do you think you should be keeping the eye on, you know, for this year?
Well, I don't think Baker's going anywhere. I think they will come to a meeting point, maybe. But even if he does, I'm not sure if Cleveland would want. I'm not sure if he would want Cleveland. First of all, I'm not sure he would want to go back to Cleveland.
Remember, he was
Given the way
complaining
and
about how
everything.
he didn't get a call after he got traded. And I'm like, the guy who
Yeah,
didn't call him is still there. And
yeah.
honestly, I don't think they want to be back together.
I don't think so. I think he would rather be away from Cleveland, and I think that's perfectly fine.
Mhm.
I think CJ Stroud ends up getting an extension because he is still a very good quarterback. And I do think Houston has put themselves in a position to where you're going to get these 2 years and see what happens because they're ready to go win a Super Bowl. And I think Stroud's going to get an extension. I think Bryce Young gets an extension. Which leaves you with some really fascinating like options. Anthony Richardson, I will keep going to bat for in terms of just like screw it, see what happens. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to go great, but it's better than what we're doing right now. If you're looking for sort of a stopgap guy, Marcus Mariota might fit what Todd Monken wants to do offensively. Jacoby Brissett,
Whew,
we're
JP, hold
starting
on.
to get into the
If I'm getting into 2027 and I'm talking about Marcus Mariota and Jacoby Brissett starting for this football team in 2027, and that's like our guys that we're going with, keep me away from the Magic Mountain Kingdom.
well,
All right, because
well, these are like
I might climb the
stopgaps.
tower and I might go.
These
Okay.
are like stopgaps. We're gonna draft a guy, sign a guy. Just
Okay. So you
we
would
want to
pair
get
these
people.
with a first round pick.
Yes,
Okay. I thought
I'm
you were
not saying
saying
this is our
that it's like
guy.
we're gonna stop gap for a year and see what happens with Marcus Mariota, which I'm like, all right, Magic Mountain Kingdom, here I come.
No, this is stopgap until the quarterback you draft in round one is ready.
Okay.
Um, I think once you get past like the issue is the quarterback free agency crop or the veteran pool is not very deep. You're looking at maybe Geno Smith, or maybe you trade for Will Levis, or Anthony Richardson. I will keep going back to the Anthony Richardson deal, or because who knows what happens there? Maybe he turns into something, maybe he doesn't. But once you get past that, maybe if Kyler ends up leaving Minnesota, if it just doesn't work, then maybe Kyler. But again, we're getting into some real dire territory.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
not great. Like if you think about all the teams that have filled holes at quarterback, you draft them or you trade for them. And nobody's trading quarterbacks at this point because it's like that tweet that we saw a couple years ago. You don't want to be out here. You
Hmm.
think you want to be out here until you're out here. And Brandon Allen is staring you in the face
Yeah.
when it comes to being a stopgap. So I think if they aren't able to swing for like an Anthony Richardson, or if in a crazy world Baker Mayfield or CJ Stroud become available, I think your best option is draft a guy, sign a guy, and hope the drafted one is ready by that midseason 2027.
Do you think, because like there's one name that keeps coming to my mind, and I don't know if it's legitimate here, but like Detroit missed the playoffs last year. I could see if they have another kind of meh year that Jared Goff becomes available. I don't know if you want to be the team that goes after him, but I'm like, that seems like if I am using my Browns radar, that feels like the kind of thing that could happen.
I mean, maybe, but I also just think one, Jared Goff is beloved in Detroit. Like they
Absolutely.
chant Jared Goff at like Detroit Red Wings games.
Yeah.
And I also think Jared Goff has played some really good football. He played really good football last year. It's just everybody on Detroit got hurt. So I think he is a part of their core, at least until he is ready to be done.
How old is he?
Another option, he's, I believe, in his 30s. He's got to be. I mean, he was drafted in
2016.
2016. He's 31. So I think he probably is going to stay in Detroit. Maybe you can get Daniel Jones if like, because the reason for Daniel Jones, and I'm not saying that this is like a perfect world, but the Colts are trying to build to go all in right now because they don't have picks. They trade him for Sauce Gardner. The Daniel Jones contract essentially is like a 1 year, $50 million deal. If it works out, then they'll kick in that second year. If not, he might become available. And I'm not sure if you want to be the team that signs Daniel Jones after the torn Achilles, but I mean, again, Daniel Jones or Skylar Thompson. Those are your options right now when it comes to veteran pools.
I choose Def.
Valid.
I choose relocation. Okay.
Valid.
Relegate me.
Again,
Like,
step into the light.
please.
Quarterbacks don't matter. Play a running back.
Triple option.
Don't fool Wildcat.
I will do something else. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who becomes available, what the options are. I think the Browns are gonna have to get creative on some level, either to try to acquire the draft pick that they want to be able to go get somebody. Because I know people have talked about this quarterback class like it's gonna be like 5 quarterbacks guaranteed, but that's never the case in July, okay, that we know 5 quarterbacks are going to go in the first round. And if it were the case, we would all like, it wouldn't be a debate. We would be like, nah, man, there's like 5 dudes here who could, it would have been the talk of last year. Okay. Like, if that were the case here, right? I think there's definitely 2 in the draft that people are going to feel comfortable about spending an early asset on. Lenore Sellers is ultra intriguing because of the tools, and some of the stuff he's demonstrated on tape. The unfortunate thing with him is that because he's at South Carolina, he's been put in a pretty rough situation that exposed some flaws with him. And I do think he legitimately had some bad moments at end of games last year that would make you a little bit nervous about him as a prospect. You want to see him correct that at the very least this year, which was strange for him because he was good at the end of games most other times he's played. So, hopefully that switches up for him. But then there, it's like, well, what's Sam Levitt doing? You know what I mean? Like, is CJ Carr, whatever. Like, these kind of questions that you have here. And it's not going to be a guarantee if you're sitting at pick 10 that you're going to have a clear pathway to a quarterback. And if there aren't any options in free agency, right? Like, maybe are you the team that wants to throw a bag at Kyler Murray? Right, like if that becomes an option available to you, the Browns are kind of running out of time here to make a swing at quarterback, so they're kind of pushed into a corner where they have to do something this year. I just hope it's something that they're all happy with, and not something that they're like, "Hey, man, we had to do something." Right, the 2-year $100 with the 3rd year that's basically a team option Kyler Murray contract would be the most. Hey man,
Something had to
do something, right? We're like, look, that's what the life that Miami's living right now. They gave all that money to Malik Willis, and it was kind of like, hey man, got to do something. Right.
I mean, with Miami, it's not a too crazy of a deal, but
yeah,
you can see the reason. Like, if it works, cool. If it doesn't, then we'll just go draft quarterback. We're gonna be bad anyway. Like, we'll just see what happens. Can I potentially interest you in a Tanner McKee?
You asking me if I'm interested
Yes.
in Tanner McKee? I'm not.
Because again, the options are slim. So
JB, if we get down to the Browns start of the season, and I'm like, hey man, can Anthony Richardson beat out Tanner McKee in camp? I'm gonna send you my location so you make sure that I don't go near no bridges. Okay?
That's a warning sign. That's a cry for help.
Like, if you see that, I'm gonna have to just make sure you have my location on your iPhone.
That is a cry for help.
Because not where I want to be. Okay.
Which quarterback are the Browns pulling out of retirement?
I mean, I haven't even brought up the worst option. We could be like, let's give Deshaun a 1-year deal.
Oh man, that would be the worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario is that we're like, hey man, it can't get worse. You know, like I will prefer any situation to that. It may, I don't want to say any situation because I don't want to get tested. You know what I mean? Like I might say that and like, all right, this or Will Levis. 2 years, like $6 million. Like, you know what? Give me Deshaun. like
that's crazy.
I can't do it. Will Levis?
I mean, you might as well try something.
Because at least if we have Deshaun, I know what I'm gonna get.
The worst quarterback in the NFL.
The media knows what we're gonna get. If we trade for Will Levis, people gonna try to convince me that that's gonna be good, and I'm gonna just have to sit there and be like, okay. I'd rather not have to bite my tongue. Okay, like you imagine Mel Kiper if we have Shador and Will Levis on this team.
He'd be the biggest fan.
Yeah. What Russell Westbrook say? That's the problem. Okay.